Okay. So we have completed missile sections. We completed even submarine related thing and defense missiles, right? So those three things that we have covered. So the next one we'll try to talk about from the perspective of drones. We'll see where we can try to play with drones. We may not able to try to fly the drones at some locations, right? Like green zone, red zone, and all. So that we will discuss. Then we will go to different kind of aircrafts and helicopters. Okay. So these are the focus. Let's try unmanned aerial vehicle. That is again unmanned aerial vehicle means there is a vehicle where we don't have any men or any women, right? Like no person is being present there to drive that vehicle. So this is how the word called drone comes into picture, right? So India had a drone rules the other is. So drones, also known as unmanned aerial vehicles, are often used for military purposes because they do not put a pilot's life at risk in combat zones. For example, मते जाके अटैक करियार अछि को गोटे भाबिनी गोटे टेररिस्ट एरिया अछि एंड से एरिया रे मते जाके टिके खोजियार अछि कि टेररिस्ट अछन ना नांदी देन मे बी हे पारे मु जदी किछु गोटे लाइक एयरक्राफ्ट वगैरह नै गली ऑब्वियसली सेतिरे साउंड आसीबो एंड से साउंड रो ही पारे ସେମାନେ ଜାଣିଦେବେ and ସେମାନେ ମତେ ଟ୍ରାଏ କରିବେ ବ୍ଲାଷ୍ଟ କରିଦେବା ପାଇଁ ସେ ଏୟାରକ୍ରାଫ୍ଟ ଟାକୁ ରାଇଟ୍ ସୋ better to have a drone which will have very small sound like even jana bhi padeni right we will in nanotechnology we will see like there are drones which are very small in size. Okay, so those kind of things also we will try to understand from the perspective of nanotechnology, but here we will try to understand like drone we use in defense technology such that a person's life won't be in risk because these drones will be known as unmanned aerial vehicles. So they are indispensable in reconnaissance means they will behave as a spy, intelligence gathering, transporting, and launching weapons, ammunition with high precision. So you just give them the coordinates. Basically, there might be some person who will be work like if you see ଯଦି ତମେ ଦେଖିଥିବ କଣ ହେଇଥିବ କି ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଗୋଟେ ତଳେ ଗୋଟେ ଲୋକଟେ ଥିବ ନା ଯିଏ କି ରିମୋଟ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଡ୍ରୋନ୍ ଟାକୁ କଣ୍ଟ୍ରୋଲ କରୁଥିବ having different coordinates, right? So and there are drones which doesn't require any other person to actually guide it. They have their own navigation system the way missiles work, right? Similarly the drone will work on their own basis such that for example ମତେ ଏଠୁ ନେଇକି ଗୋଟେ ଏରିଆକୁ ଯିବାର ଅଛି ସେ ଏରିଆର ମତେ କୋଅର୍ଡିନେଟ୍ସ ଦେଇଦେଲେ ସେ ପଳେଇବ ଏମିତି ନୁହଁ କି ମୋର ରେଞ୍ଜ ପାଇବ ସେ ଏରିଆ ଯାଇ ମୁଁ କମ୍ୟୁନିକେସନ ତା ସହିତ ଭଲସେ କରିପାରୁଥିବି ମେ ବି ହେଇପାରେ ବିକଜ ତମେ ଦେଖିଥିବ ନା ସେ ଯୋଉ ଡ୍ରୋନ ରେ ଫିଲ୍ମ वगैरह सुटिंग କରନ୍ତି या फिर से प्री वेडिंग वगैरह या फिर वेडिंग टाइम रे या फिर कौन से गोटे फंक्शन है से टाइम रे से ड्रोन उड़ाते ना तो बट सेठी से तलू गोटे मैनेज करिया पड़े बट हियर आई एम सेइंग लाइक some drones which doesn't require any management from the like ground station or something. It has their its own coordinate and it is very precision. It has very high precision coordinates जो precision ଅଛି कौन ना proper coordinate से पहुंची परिवे. The first drone were imported into India from Israel for the use in active combat. India's DRDO has since then developed numerous indigenous drones. And যদি তুমি দেখো economy policy রে also like we used to not to have any kind of import related to drones and we try to bring all the indigenous drones because import କରିବା ମାନେ ପଇସା ଲସ୍ ହବ right. So drone sector ରେ ଆମେ try କରୁଛେ ସବୁତକ drone ଆମର ଯାହା ବି ବନେଇବାର ଅଛି ସବୁ indigenous DRDO କୁ କୁହାହଉଛି ସେ ବନେଇବ. India government in April 2018 launched the IDEX initiative, Innovation for Defense Excellence, to achieve a self-reliance and foster innovation and technology development in defense and aerospace sector. So through IDEX initiative, which will be related to defense and aerospace. So in June 2021, to encourage domestic innovations and indigenous development of drone system, approximately 500 crore budget was allocated to Ministry of Defense under IDEX. IDEX engaged with MSMEs, startups, innovators, academics, and research and development institutions and evaluate technology for scalability aids in the armed force in different technological adoptions. In August 2021, Ministry of Civil Aviation notified new liberalized drone rule. So what we are trying to see is a different drone rule or drone policy that India has. Okay. So ଯଦି ଦେଖିବ ଏଟା 2018 ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ହେଲା ଦେନ୍ 2021 ରେ ଗୋଟେ ନୂଆ ଡ୍ରୋନ୍ ରୁଲ୍ ଆସିଲା ଆଣ୍ଡ ଡ୍ରୋନ୍ ରୁଲ୍ ଆସିବ ମାନେ ଏମାନେ ତ ଉଡିବେ ନା ତ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସେମାନେ ଉଡୁଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାର ହାଇଟ୍ ରେ ଲେଟ୍ ସପୋଜ ସେମାନେ ଫ୍ଲାଏ କରିବେ ଦେନ୍ ମେ ବି ହେଇପାରେ ସେ ଏରିଆରେ ଗୋଟେ ଏରୋପ୍ଲେନ୍ ବି ଯାଇପାରେ ସୋ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମିନିଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ଅଫ ସିଭିଲ ଆଭିଏସନ ଅଲସୋ ୱିଲ୍ କମ୍ ଇନଟୁ ଦ ପିକ୍ଚର. ସି if you will try to use the drone in any defense sector then minister of defense will come into picture so that they will understand like what kind of drone we require for the defense purpose. But because they have to fly at certain heights, their Ministry of Civil Aviation will also come into picture, because they should know at what height the drone is trying to operate, such that they will try to navigate the flight on their basis. So they came in a place of previous rule released in March 2021, which were perceived as restrictive as they involved considerable paperwork. कि एमिति नुह कि तमे मन इच्छा कहबा कि हमें ड्रोन जोठी नै सेठु उड़ेबु, किंतु जना पड़ला कि सेटा गोटे एयरलाइन रे ही पळे आसी कि गोटे एरोप्लेन से एरिया रे जिवा कथा, जना पड़ला से एरोप्लेन सहित से ड्रोन धक्का होची, देन some casualty is getting happening, right? So setiment drone को restrictions रखा गया, but in 2021 these restrictions were slowly they try to remove. So earlier, if you see, previous rule released in March 2021 which are perceived as restrictive as they involved considerable paperwork, required very much of permissions for every drone flight, and very few free to fly green zones. So green zones जो थे कि तमे इजीली ड्रोन को उड़े परिबो, जो एरिया रे कोनोसी रेस्ट्रिक्शन न थाए, पेपर वर्क बेसी करियार नै, दैट इज कॉल्ड ग्रीन जोन, वी विल टॉक अबाउट इट. बट आम पाखे बहुत कम ग्रीन जोन थिला. सी कथा हो मु बर्तन कहबी कि मु ड्रोन को बहुत रु बहुत एमएसएमई स्टार्टअप मानो कहबी तमे ड्रोन तयारी करो, किंतु जदि मु सेमानको स्पेस देबिनी उड़ेया पई, ग्रीन जोन जदि बनेबिनी, देन ताकर प्रोडक्शन रो बिक्री केमिति हबो, बुझी होची ना. फॉर एग्जांपल मु कहबी गोटे टीवी कंपनी को तमे टीवी बनाओ, किंतु मु कहबी कि टीवी सकाळू केवल 2 घंटा चलिबा आ दिन जाकरे कोनोसी भी लोक इंडिया रे टीवी चले परिबोनी, त मते को से टीवी लोक के किनिबे कि? obviously production कमी, जदि production कमिला देन तमे केमिति कहबो कि हमें इनोवेशन करिवु, सो करि ही परिबोनी, राइट? सो सेति पय तमु कोन करिया पड़े, अधिक रु अधिक ग्रीन जोन आनिया पड़िबो. ड्रोन रो जदि प्रोडक्शन बढ़ेयार अछि, जदि इंडिजिनियस प्रोडक्शन बढ़ेयार अछि, देन यू हैव टू ब्रिंग व्हाट, more and more green zone, less and less restrictions. This is related to ease of doing business, right? So these liberalized rules are aimed at making India global drone hub. Okay, these liberalized rules are aimed at making India global drone hub by 2030. These rules marks a new era in the Indian drone ecosystem, which, as per the Civil Aviation Ministry, estimates to achieve a total turnover of 120 to 150 billion by 2026 from its current turnover about 800 million, and can create 5 lakh professional jobs in the next 5 years. So application of drones in areas like precision farming, कि तुमको प्रॉपर फार्मिंग करियर अछि, सेतिरे तमे देखिछ ना ड्रोन दीदी, लाखपति दीदी, राइट? सेमान सब कोन करछन्दी, लाइक फर्टिलाइजर्स, नानो यूरिया एंड ऑल, सेमाने ट्राई करछन्दी सिंचिया पे, राइट? एंड सेमाने कोथरे यूज कर देबे, ड्रोन यूज कर देबे, ड्रोन दीदी, राइट? So precision farming, 3D terrain mapping, then medical supplies, inspections of irrigations and other construction project is expected to explode in future. So this is how, why we require drone and what are its various applications. Now coming to India's new liberalized drone rule. So we talked about green zone, right? So let's talk about green zone, yellow zone and red zone. So drone have different category. So if a drone which is having a weight of less than 250, so the categories of drone are based on their weights. See, you should know the categorization, how, because why it is required is, if you see in the missile sector, we try to categorize based on what? Range. For ballistic missile, we try to categorize based on the range and based upon the target to which they are trying to hit. For example, surface to surface, or surface to surface, or surface to air, or air to surface, right? Correct. Similarly, if you try to see submarine, we also try to classify into whether it is a aircraft carrier or whether it is a destroyer or frigate, right? So everywhere you should know how you are going to categorize it. So here the drones are categorized by the weight they have. One is called nano drones, like less than 250 gram. For example, से गोटे बहुत छोटिया टे थिबो, जणा पड़ला कि सेतिर गोटे कैमराटा लागि जे जणा भी पडुनी माछी भलिया, right? So less than how much? 250 gram. Micro is 250 gram to 2 kg. Small is of 2 kg to 25 kg. Medium is 25 to 150, and large is 150 kg ru ahuri ଅଧିକ. So now coming to zones, right? So we have different zones. One is called green zone. There airspace up to a vertical distance of 400 feet that is not designated as red or yellow zone. So let's understand first red zone, yellow zone, then we'll come to green zone. So whenever we are saying red zone, it is like the airspace where unmanned aerial vehicles only allowed by center are permitted. So जेतेବେଳେ गोटे and center काहाटो permission दउ नवा पड़िबो, again civil ministry, civil aviation, right? कि मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सिविल एविएशन रो तुमको परमिशन ना पड़ो कि एई एरिया रे मो ड्रोन उड़े परबी कि फॉर एग्जांपल दैट इज ए प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया जदी डिफेंस रिलेटेड किछ गोटा प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया अछि से एरिया रे तुम ड्रोन उड़े परबनी दैट इज कंसीडर्ड टू बी रेड जोन राइट देन कमिंग टू येलो जोन एयर स्पेस व्हिच इज अबव 400 feet in green zone and airspace above 200 feet with 8 to 12 kilometers from an airport. These are restricted and need ATC permit. ATC is nothing but air traffic control. Because more than 400 feet means maybe might be a chances that there will be some aeroplanes they will try to pass. But या फिर हेलीकॉप्टर वगैरह किसी भी पास कर पारने more than 400 and near to aeroplane area right for example ଆମର ଭୁବନେଶ୍ୱର ଏୟାରପୋର୍ଟ ପାଖାପାଖି ସେଠି ତ maximum କେତେ ଉଠେଇ ପାରିବ ନା 200 feet within the 8 to 12 kilometer of any particular airport. That is what we call illusion. So if you try to go above 400 or if you are trying to go above 200 near to aerospace area, then you have to take the permission from ATC. But here red zone it is strictly like you cannot take a permission also because this is strictly prohibited. For example tame jetale flight re jautuo then semane koi debe ki like this is a prohibited area, you should not take a photo of this also, right? No, so these are like red zone where you cannot fly. Then there is yellow zone and green zone is anything which is not coming under green like red zone or yellow zone. You can go more than 400 feet also, there no need of any air traffic control to kaun si permit वगैरह नहीं. Okay, so this is what we call green zone. Without any permission we can try to fly the drone. So ड्राफ्ट ड्रोन रूल्स 2021 रो तो जो रूल हैला सेतिर कोन हाइलाइट हैला ना डिजिटल स्काई प्लेटफॉर्म. सो द नंबर ऑफ फॉर्म्स रिड्यूस. सो अर्लियर if someone wants to go for flying the drones, right, they required around 25 forms and with those forms they required permissions, right? You understood like why we require permissions, right? Okay, so here in 2021, these permissions from 25 to it got reduced to 6. Digital sky platform shall be developed as a business-friendly single window online system. So through that online system, all these 6, like all the permissions that has to be have a clearance window. So no flight permissions required up to 400 feet in green zone and up to 200 feet in the area between 8 to 1200 kilometer from the airport perimeter. Means, see, when you will say yellow zone, when you are going more than 400 and more than 200 near to 8 and 12 kilometer of aerospace, right? तो जदि सेई पाखा पाखी रे तमे ताठू अधिक उड़िया को चाहो then you need permission and that will come under yellow zone. But if you go below that level then it will be considered to be green zone and there are certain things like which is called red zone जोटी तमे उड़े ही परिबनी. Next, no pilot license required for micro drones. And what is micro drones?
So jar weight hela
More than 250, more than
2
250
kg
gram.
ଭିତରେ 250 gram 2 kg.
Correct. Correct. So no pilot license required for micro drones for non-commercial use, nano drones and for R&D organizations. Micro जदि तमे नॉन कमर्शियल यूज करिया पे यूज करो फॉर एग्जांपल बिजनेस पर्पस रे नो ताकू नॉन कमर्शियल यूज करू तो या फिर नानो ड्रोन्स वगैरह और एंड R&D पर्पस रे तमे किछि यूज करिया चाहतो ड्रोन यू डोंट रिक्वायर एनी पायलट लाइसेंस. नो सिक्योरिटी क्लियरेंस रिक्वायर्ड बिफोर एनी रजिस्ट्रेशन और लाइसेंस इंश्योरेंस. No requirement of certificate of airworthiness, unique identification number, prior permissions and remote pilot license for research and development entities. So just to know, like we have very much different policies, different permissions that we need to take up, right, for flying any drone. Coverage of drones under drone rules 2021 increased from 300 kg to 500 kg. So if you see drone rules under रे ड्रोन रो मैक्सिमम वेट केते हे परिबो आगरो थिला 300 केजी बर्तन एटा इंक्रीज कराई केते हे जे ना अप टू 500 केजी भी तमे नै परिबो. दिस विल कवर ड्रोन टैक्सीज आल्सो. So what will be drone taxi where you will have a transport also like from one place to other place. No security clearance required. Okay, that we already discussed. Drone corridor will be developed for cargo deliveries. So there will be, so this is a from Ministry of Civil Aviation because they have to understand where we are going to operate the flights and where we are going to operate the helicopters, like how we will give the clearance to them. For example, air traffic lines. And for drones also we will have to create some drone corridor जो corridor रे किसे manage that will be very specific for the drone corridors. So anyway, so digital sky app it is a user friendly online single window system where we have to see through this digital sky app only we could able to reduce from 25 to 6, and we could able to make everything online ki sab for example e seva gote अछि na e digital गवर्नमेंट रो जदि तुमको किसी गोटे सर्टिफिकेट वगैरह अप्लाई करियार अछि ओडिसा गवर्नमेंट रो ई डिजिटल समथिंग किसी गोटे अछि ओके जो थे कि तुम ट्राई कर परिबो ओबीसी सर्टिफिकेट है एससीबीसी सर्टिफिकेट है या फिर एससी एसटी या फिर डिफरेंट अदर सर्टिफिकेट्स राइट everything will be available in that portal and everything we will get it in online. Similarly, in case of drone permissions and all also, right, you can fill the application in online and it will be having a clearance system through online only. All the registration, all the license, all the certifications that will be done through this digital sky app. It will have registration. You have to do a registration. You will get UIN insurance, like basic unique identification number. That is what we call UIN. So that will be issued to you. Flight planning, app based permit request. If you want to operate in the illusion, you need to have a permission. If you are going above 200 feet near to the 8 to 12 kilometer radius of the aerospace. But if you are going to more than 400 also, there also you need what? Permission, right? And these permissions, you don't have to go to visit the office. You can directly get it through this online system. Reporting, lodging of flight plans with DGCA, incident reporting वगैरह सेगुड़ा तमे इथरे करि परिबो. So import of drones to be regulated by Director General of Foreign Trade, DGFT, because we don't want to import any further drones, right? This is related to that. Then DGCA, which is Directorate General of Civil Aviation, shall prescribe drone training requirements, overseas of drone schools, and provide pilot licenses online. Okay, so we understood what is drone, how it is going to operate, in which area it should be operated, right? And what are the different policies, like what is this digital sky app through which we could able to register, then we get the license, we get the clearance, right? All these we will get through this. Then next we will try to understand in the defense technology what are the different type of unmanned aerial vehicles, the one which we are calling as a drone that we are using. So the first one is called kamikaze or suicide drone. Suicide drone in the sense, see, whenever you will use a normal drone for transportation purpose, that will be for the civil use, right? But if you will use some explosion inside the drone, you understood, right? If I will try to take a drone and put some explosion, explosive materials, right? Explosive materials ଯଦି ମୁଁ ସେଠି ରଖିଲି କିଛି ବାରୁଦ ବଗେରା ରଖିଲି, right? ବମ୍ ବଗେରା ରଖିଲି, then ତାକୁ ନେଇକି ମୁଁ ଉଡେଇକି ଗୋଟେ ଜାଗାରେ पर्टिकुलर ଜାଗାରେ ନେଇକି ଥୋଇଦେଲି, then କିଛି ସମୟ ପରେ ସେଟା ବ୍ଲାଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଗଲା. This is like what we are saying drone, and it is like suicide drone. In that drone, what I am trying to do is I am not keeping a missile. You understand, right? Aircraft रे ଆମେ missile ରଖୁଥିଲେ and missile ଟା launch होउଥିଲା aircraft ରୁ. But here what I am trying to say is in the drone itself we are having what? Explosive materials. तो बर्तमान blast हेले से drone भी blast होगा. So this is what we call suicide drone. This is called kamikaze. So also called switchblade drones. These are unmanned aircrafts that don't fire missiles, but they are the missiles. You understood? They themselves are the missiles. They don't carry the missiles. Okay, they don't carry the missiles. They themselves are the missiles. These could be viewed as a flying bomb that explode on contact. कोठी contact रे पाइला माने सान explode करछे. About 100 of such drones are being sent by USA to Ukraine to assist their fight against Russia. They are low cost, lightweight, killer drones, can change ground warfare. They are equipped with cameras and are provided aerial view of the battleground. Is that clear? Kamikaze or suicide drone. This is related to what? USA to Ukraine. They themselves are the missile, right? They don't carry any missiles, so that missile will try to launch. They themselves are the missiles. Basically, all the explosive materials are within them. Then whenever they will come into a contact, they will blast. Okay, they are the, that's why I call suicide drones, and zemani bomb, flying bomb. Okay, then we have Netra. So Netra is an indigenously made autonomous UAV, autonomous unmanned aerial vehicle for surveillance and reconnaissance operations. So surveillance and reconnaissance, that is related to spying operations कि हमको देखिबार अछि कि को एरिया रे कोन होउची ए सब जिंस पय हम पाखरे कोन अछि नेत्र. नेत्र मींस आखी, राइट? सो लाइक कोन ना जैसे पिलाटा सेठी खेलुची ताको टी आखी रे आखी पकेता, लाइक आखी पकेता इन द सेंस ताको टी सर्विलांस रे तू रखिता, करेक्ट नो? surveillance रे रखिले at least से कौन करूची कौन नहीं जेमती CCTV वाले. This is what we call Netra. This is also a drone which behave like a CCTV only. It has been jointly developed with DRDO, Research Development Establishment, and Idea Force, a Mumbai-based private firm. Netra is equipped with a resolution CCD camera with a pan, tilt, and zoom to facilitate wider surveillance. It can also be fitted with thermal cameras. What is thermal cameras? Basically, in night, right? When thermal camera is nothing but it will try to sense the object based upon their temperature. If the temperature is more, it will show like little red in color in night vision. But if the temperature is low, right, or it is a cool object, it will in the dark it will be like some blue kind of color it will show. Otherwise, if there is a hotter object, like if the object having temperature more, it will show some red or orange color of kind. Okay, so this can be this Netra, it can be fitted with thermal cameras to carry out night operations. Operational altitude of UAV is up 200 meters. That is the maximum. This is 200 meters, right? And drone there, like green zone illusion, we are talking about feet. Okay, and 1 meter is approximately around 3 feet. Clear? Okay, so here the operational altitude of this Netra is how much? Maximum 200 meters, having a vertical takeoff and landing capacity, and is equipped with a wireless transmitter. So through the transmitter, you can transmit the signal to the ground station so that we can at least understand like what are the surveillance it is trying to do, right? Because ultimately दरकार कौन surveillance means से तार डाटा पठौथिबा दरकार जो थी कि वायरलेस ट्रांसमीटर थ्रू रे डाटा आसी परियो जो थी तमे जानि परियो कि अच्छा ठीक अछि देन सर्विलेंस ठीक होछि से एरिया रे की बुलुछि कोन होछि से सब जिंस थ्रू नेत्र वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड. It has a inbuilt fail-safe feature, also allows this Netra to return to base on loss of communication or if it is low battery. See, only the thing is you should understand this is a surveillance wala camera like CCTV. तो कथा होची सीसीटीवी फॉर एग्जांपल तमे सीसीटीवी लगेछ किंतु जना पड़ला कि सीसीटीवी तम कंप्यूटर को डाटा ही पठे पारनी देन व्हाट इज द यूज ऑफ दैट सीसीटीवी. करेक्ट? नो, दैट मींस इफ यू आर सेइंग नेत्रा इज ए काइंड ऑफ सीसीटीवी, राइट, देन जो थरे कि तमे वर्तमान कोन करबो सी जो डाटा ओडा कैप्चर करछि से डाटा ओडा ग्राउंड स्टेशन को आसुथिबा दरकार. तो ग्राउंड स्टेशन को आसिया पे से हमर कोन लागि वायरलेस ट्रांसमीटर एंड जदी तार कोनोसी प्रकार रो फेलियर हैला डाटा पठे पाउने ऑटोमेटिकली से तम पाखु पळे आस्ता दरकार. So this is what the feature that already has. Netra has this built fail-safe feature. Whenever the battery will get down, this Netra will come back to the ground station automatically. Whenever the communication being get lost or if the battery is being down. Any doubt? Drone. So for from India perspective, we saw something related to Netra, and from USA perspective, we saw something related to suicide drone or Kajikaze. Kamikaze, not Kajikaze. Kamikaze. Okay. Any doubt? Then the next one.
No, sir.
Yeah, in news also you might find some different drones, so that you have to add it right in your notes if you will try to make. So in that note only you will try to supplement in case if in news, like for example Iran वाला चलची, right, like Iran Israel ये सब war रे जदी तमे देखियो सेतरे भी मे भी से माने different drone use करिवे से drone ओडा जदी न्यूज रहथिबो टिके टिके खाली जस्ट सेठी ठारी देथिबो कि okay Israel is using this kind of drone, okay, for defense purpose. Anyway, fighter jets in news. So light combat aircraft LCA, and we have Tejas. From India perspective, what we have is called Tejas. There is already a movie. Okay, so India's Eagle. This also known as India's Eagle in the sky. So it is designed by Aeronautical Development Agency, that is called ADA, and manufactured by Hindustan Aeronautic Limited, HAL, which is in Bangalore. So it is being developed in single seat fighter. Because this is light combat aircraft, single seat fighter and twin seat trainer. So it has a two variant only. Like one is single seat fighter, जोथिरे के आगरे बसिबो किए ना गोटे फाइटर टे एंड पछपटे बसिबो किए गोटे ट्रेनर. So twin seat trainer variant for Indian Air Force and Indian Navy. तो इंडियन एयरफोर्स को भी दिया है, इंडियन नेवी को भी दिया है. तेजस currently has 3 production modes. Tejas, one is Mark 1, Mark 1A, and trainer variant. So the IAF, Indian Air Force, currently placed an order of 40 Tejas Mark 1, 70 Tejas Mark 1A, and 10 trainer aircrafts, because this IAF, right, इंडियन एयरफोर्स से ट्रेनिंग भी दबार अच्छे जो मैंने पायलट गुड़ा अच्छा तो से ट्रेनर क्राफ्ट एयरक्राफ्ट दरकार जो थे कि आगे जड़े बसी पार्थो गोटे फ्लाइट जे चलेब रईट सिंगल सीट फाइटर जड़े पछपटे गोटे ट्रेनर थी से कहूथ कि भाई एमती उठेबार अच्छे सेमती उठेबार अच्छे राइट सो फार IF has inducted 30 of the 123 Tejas jets ordered previously from HAL. तो IF बर्तन में कितने पाइची ना out of 130 123 if you count these right you will get up it will be some 123 out of 123 HAL could able to produce 30 so IAF बर्तन 30 टा ताको मिली going to be the backbone of fighter fleet of Indian Air Force which is self-reliance. It is the smallest lightweight multi-role single engine. Okay, multi-role single engine and it is of lightweight tactical fighter aircraft. This is not what do you say? One is tactical and the other word is for tactical weapons. We don't
Sir, bigger weapon.
yeah bigger strategic correct the word other word is strategic weapon so for strategic weapon we require permission from like parliamentary not parliamentary basically from prime minister or minister of defense we require civilian permissions basically political permissions we require for strategic warfare but this tejas is considered to be what tactical fighter aircraft is that clear okay so means the defense they can directly take the like ownership ki they know how to use this whenever you want to operate like any attack or one they can try to directly use this tejas in the world so tactical weapons or force are those which a military leader can decide for themselves to use in the battle rather than waiting for a decision from the political leader this is already we know from the beginning it has many advanced features like beyond visual range missile capabilities air to air refueling and air to ground weapons so beyond visual range missile capabilities see you remember that torpedo wala thing jo ame कहउले if this is a submarine this is another submarine if it is in the range in line of sight right कि ताहले ही से ताकू जाय कि मारी दे परिबो देन वी ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड कि नै नै बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल भी हमें ट्राई करी कि ताकू हिट करी कि हमें गोटे सबमरीन गुडे दे परिबा राइट सो हियर if the missile is also not like it has missile basically in Tejas because it has multi-role it can perform multi-role it can take missiles also and that missiles can have beyond vision like beyond visual range in the sense maybe ही पारे ता आगे गोटे एयरक्राफ्ट ताकू न देखा जाय पारे बट स्टिल से कोन कर पारे ताकू चाहिले टार्गेट को हिट करी दे पारे so this is related to beyond range missile capability beyond visual range missile capabilities air to air refueling कि in future जदि तमरो लागिला कि ऊपर सरी गलानी कोन ना fuel then you can also try to fill the fuel while you are being in the air it is not necessary like you have to like come to the base right and refuel and then take a flight even in the air also you can refuel the vehicle and it is air to ground weapons basically this is what air to ground से जो नाग वगैरह जो हमें कहते for example if you try to take nag is related to anti tank missile right helena is related to from helicopter if you try to use होंगे नहीं one missile which will try to hit some tanker or something on the surface so similarly this what we say like it can have a air to air जदि तमे से क्रूज मिसाइल वगैरह लगे कि रखी जाओ देन ऑब्वियसली से काउंट हिट करियो ना एयर टू एयर जीवो बिकॉज़ क्रूज मिसाइल पूरा पैरेलल जीवो ना ग्राउंड सहित जदि हमें बैलिस्टिक मिसाइल नबा देन से एमती जाय कि एमती ग्राउंड को खसियो anyway so difference between tejas mark 1 and tejas mark 2 so it is class if you see multi role here also multi role it is one is the first variant that is the lighter while the mark 2 is medium weight fighter then wing type there is something called delta and delta with conrad so what is delta with conrad so this is what if you see this is medium air mid air refueling means this is the tejas aircraft this is another aircraft like which will try to which have basically fuel through this they will try to refuel these stages while that is like refuel the aircraft here I am saying aircraft in India context we are saying tejas so they can do it while they are in the operation while they are in the air only now coming to delta wing and delta with converts. So this is how it looks delta wing, and this is how it looks delta with converts. So we'll see all the details, how the delta with converts they are working and how the delta variant is working. Okay, so you saw the difference, right? One is delta and the other one is delta with converts, which having four wings. If you see delta, if you see here, it has four wings, while it has only basically majorly it has two. Okay, but if you see here, it used to have four. Next, coming to this, the weight, it has 6560, while obviously mark 2 means it will little bit more upgraded, right? 7850 maxi, like it can take off weight. How much maximum it can take off weight? 13,500 kg. And here this one is 2500 kg maximum. Okay, and range, if you see, it has 1850 kilometer, while this has, I think this is a difference. I think this would be 25000. I'll just re-verify and get this. Okay, here range is 1850 kilometer and here range is 2500 kilometer range. Speed supersonic होंगी नहीं, and this will be again supersonic but more speed than the Mach 1. Air to air refueling, yes, here also capability. Then expected replacement for MiG-21, we already had like MiG, then different aircraft that we already got it from Russia, then France, then USA. So it will have a replacement for MiG-21, and here Tejas Mark II will have a replacement for MiG-29, Mirage 2000 and Jaguar. Present status, inducted into the service. Basically it has already been put, because we remember, right, one out of 123 Indian Air Force got how much?
30.
So out of those,
30.
those are related to this Mark 1, because they asked for 73 approx for Mark 2. Correct? No, some 40, 73 and some 10. Okay, so out of 40 they got 30 Mark 1. So series production that commenced in 2015, but this Mark 2 it is expected to be commenced on 2026. So after the success of light combat aircraft, government has approved the project to Tejas Mark 2, a much more powerful version. This flight testing and certification of Tejas Mark II would cost around 6,500 crore in addition to 2,500 crore earlier sanctioned for it. Tejas Mark II would have a longer combat range and greater capacity to carry the weapons. Means it will have more capacity to carry more weapons and it will have a greater combat range. कि लगभग 2500 किलोमीटर भले जाके रेंज रे ट्रैवल करके फाइट करी परिबो. Once Tejas Mark II is completed, it could be followed by a mega project to build fifth generation advanced medium combat aircraft. Basically, what we are having now is light combat aircraft. So Tejas 2 is called medium combat aircraft because it will have more capacity to carry the weapons and it has more range also, right? So CCA, Controller of Certifying Authority, clearance of 15,000 crore project to build the fifth generation advanced medium combat aircraft will follow within the next few months. Next, Rafale fighter jets. Now we are trying to talk about Rafale. So this Rafale is a French designed twin engine. If you see Tejas, it is a single engine, right? But Rafale is a twin engine and delta wing. If you try to understand between Tejas Mark 1 and Mark 2, sorry, 1A, we find that Mark 2 or 1A, whatever you say, in 2 we used to have delta as well as Conrad, but in 1 we have only delta wing. Similarly, Rafale is having a twin engine and delta wing. It has only role, that is a fighter aircraft, but in case of Tejas it has multi role. Is that clear? It can fight and it can do other operations also, while Rafale is only for fighter aircraft. In 2016, India had signed a deal with French government and Dassault Aviations to acquire 36 Rafale fighter jets for over euro of 7.8 billion. Categorized as 4.5 generation aircraft for its radar evading stealth profile, means radar रे आसिबो ही नहीं है, धरा ही पड़िबोनी जल्दी, and a level up over the Dassault Mirage 2000, a French multi-role single engine fourth generation fighter jet used in Kargil war and Balakot attack.
and the Russian Su-30 Mk-1. So India's most popular fighter jet and serves as a backbone of IF, Indian Air Force. So here what we are saying, we are talking about very different. One is Rafale. Rafale is related to French. It has a twin engine, omni role. It is a fighter jet, and it is 4.5 generation aircraft. But what India is trying to build, they just that advanced medium combat aircraft. That is a fifth generation, right? If you see, this is a fifth generation. They just two MK2. But here this Rafale fighter, it is a 4.5 generation. So what we had earlier, we had this Mirage 2000. This Mirage is nothing but it is also French, but it is a multi-role single engine fourth gen fighter. Okay, that we used during the Kargil war and Balakot. And it's not like only we have Mirage, even we have Su-30 MK. So that is from Russia. Su-30 Mk1, that is from Russia. Rafale can fly a speed of 1.8 Mach. Okay, 1.8 Mach, 1.6 to 8 Mach कहाँ रहा? हमारा तेजस भी जाऊँ चीज़ ठीक है, correct no? And this 1.8 Mach is nothing but approximately 2222 kilometer per घंटा per hour, and can climb to a height of 50,000 feet. It has a range of 3,700. If you see, the range is way bigger than Tejas 1 and 2, which can be increased with mid-air refueling. যদি তুমি mid air রে পুଣି refueling কର ତାହେଲେ ସେ ଆହୁରି ବି ଅଧିକ ସମୟ କଣ ଯେତିକି ତେଲ ତା ପାଖରେ fuel ରହୁଛି ସେଇ fuel ରେ ସେ ଆହୁରି ଅଧିକ ସମୟ କଣ କରିପାରିବ ନା ଆକାଶରେ ଲଢି ପାରିବ या फिर ବୁଲି ପାରିବ. This is mid-air refueling. There is delta wings and delta wings with Conrad. So coming to Rafale and Tejas Mark Mk1 or MK-A1, sorry, 1A. So here, if you see, you are able to see, right? This is a delta wing, okay? While this Tejas Mark 1A, it is also delta wing, okay? And here it can carry 9,500 kg of bombs and munitions. This is more than Sukhoi 30 Mk1. This Rafale, it can carry 9,500 kg bombs, and ସେଗୁଡା ସେ ସବୁ କୋଉଥିରେ ରଖିଥିବ ତାର ଯୋଉ ତଳପଟେ ଏଠି ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି, correct no? ମିସାଇଲ वगैरह ସବୁ ଏଠି ଥିବ. So 9,000, ଯଦି Sukhoi 30 Mk1, this is related to whom? Russia. Rafale is related to whom? France, right? Sukhoi 30 Mk1, which can carry a load of 8,000 kg, but still we are considering this was the backbone of IAF. The indigenously developed Tejas light combat aircraft can be categorized as 4.5 generation in terms of avionics and technology, but it is too small in comparison with Rafale. If you see, it can take 1 to 2 member, but this is single fighter jet, right? We have a different variant, that is trainer variant, जोटी की एठी जने बसतियो ता पछपटे भी जने बसियो, right? Anyway, so here length is 15.3. Here length is small. Wingspan, here the wingspan, if you see this span, it is more, here it is smaller. 8.2 meter. Maximum speed, it can go to 1.8 Mach. This is also 1.6 to 1.8 Mach. Maximum takeoff weight 24,500 kg, एठी 13,500. Payload 9,500 kg ये नहीं जाई परिबो bomb and missions वगैरह, but here it can take only 5,300 kg. Combat radius 1852 किलोमीटर, जदि रेंज देखियो 3,700 प्लस किलोमीटर, एंड आर रेंज होची 3,000 किलोमीटर. सर्विस सीलिंग, these are not required. Then coming to Sukhoi 30 Mk. So we try to understand Tejas, that is 1A, then trainer variant, right? Then we try to talk about Rafale, then Su-30 Mk1. So ସେଇଥିରେ ମିରେଜ 2000 वगैरह ଥିଲା, थोड़ा पुराना, but ଏବେ न्यूज रे नहीं, but न्यूज रे कोन अछि ना Sukhoi 30 Mk1. This is related to Russia. This is a twin jet. So if you see Rafale, is it single jet engine or twin engine? Rafale, single engine or twin engine?
twin
Twin.
engine.
Twin engine. But Tejas is single engine, right? So Sukhoi is also twin engine. It is also multi-role air superiority fighter designed to seize control of an enemy airspace, developed by Russia, Sukhoi, and built under licensed by Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, that is HAL, for Indian Air Force. A variant of Sukhoi is Su-30. Okay, it is heavy all-weather long-range fighter. So we have Su-30 Mk1, and there is another variant of Su-30, Sukhoi Su-30, that is for heavy one, heavy all-weather long-range fighter. So we understood basically in news Su-30 Mk1, we understood Tejas 1A, Tejas 1, then trainer variant, then we understood Rafale, and this trainer variant, right? So Tejas 1 and Tejas 1A or Tejas 2. Tejas 2 will try to replace that Mirage 2000 and all, right? But Tejas 1, if you will see, they will try to replace some old aircraft. I just forgot the name. MiG-21. Correct. So Tejas 1 or 1A, basically they will try to replace MiG-21, and here it will replace Mirage 2000, MiG-29, Jaguars and all. Okay. So the next we will try to go to helicopters. Under helicopters, we have the first one. We'll try to understand Apache helicopter. See, we covered drone. Under drone, we try to talk about what is unmanned aerial vehicles, right? UAV. Then we talked about kamikos, right? That is related to suicide. And who supplied? Basically, USA supplied to Ukraine. Okay. Any other drone we saw? We try to talk about a news that is related to Netra from Indian perspective. Then we came to this fighter jets. Then we are now coming to Apache helicopters. So it is said to be the most modern attack helicopters. Basically Apache helicopter 64E, designed and equipped with latest communications, navigation, sensors, and weapon systems. Means it has basically it can perform multi roles, right? It has communication facilities, navigation. Basically, generally, तमे जब देखियो हेलिकॉप्टर गुडा काहेकि यूज करा हुए फॉर एग्जांपल युद्ध क्षेत्र रे कारगिल युद्ध रे सेना माने अछंती तांकर सब सरी गलानी एमुनिशन सरी गलानी जेति गुली बारूद से गुडा सरी गलानी ताकू पहुंचिया पे बहुत जल्दी हेलिकॉप्टर गुडा को यूज करा हुए फॉर एग्जांपल केही आहत हो जाई छथि राइट एंड तांकू संगे संगे बेस को आनी कि तांकर ट्रीटमेंट वगैरह जारी करिया पे कोन यूज करो तमे हेलिकॉप्टर यूज करो राइट दीज आर बेसिक पर्पस बट इवन दे कैन टेक मिसाइल्स वेपन सिस्टम दे कैन इवन लॉन्च बेसिकली जो ताकि हमें हेलिना पड़ितले राइट that is Dhruvastra. Dhruvastra, right? So India purchased around 22 Apache helicopters from USS Boeing to replace Russia-built Mi-25, Mi-35 helicopters. So India Apache kaharo? USA. Okay, not Russia. So Apache is related to USA. They bought 22 Apache helicopters from USA Boeing. That is the company which make these Apache helicopters. Replace Russia built in Mi-25 and Mi-35 helicopters. Apache helicopters were delivered by July 2020. Then next one is Chinook helicopters. See, this Chinook, it is not new. We already talked about this Chinook helicopters even in the space technology, right? Related to that RLV2, we tried to do an experiment like launching it, taking back like through the atmosphere, it should come back and land successfully. That we try to do that experiment through what? Chinook helicopters. The contract signed in 2015 with USA Boeing again for 15 helicopters. Again USA. Payload capability is the 10 tons and high altitude performance. These helicopters have filled the gap in IAF's heavy lift helicopters capability. To replace the Russia-made Mi-17 medium lift helicopter, Mi-26 helicopters, we have what? Chinook helicopters. The advanced multi-mission helicopters with primary role of transportation of troops, artilleries, equipments, and fuel. So these are the actually basically with this Chinook helicopter, what we are trying to use is we are using for transportation purpose. It will be used for disaster relief. It can be used for rescue operations, etc. Because this is a heavy one, right? Because it can take a capability of 10 ton. बहुत सारा लोगों को भी इधर केस करेगा have been of a great help in the construction of infrastructure and border road projects, especially in the northeast. We also use Chinook helicopters. The next one is advanced light helicopters, MK3. India Coast Guard commissioned 835 squadron, an indigenous advanced light helicopter Mk3 squadron on 28th June 2022. It is the tremendous leap towards the self-reliance in maritime surveillance. कि maritime surveillance ପାଇଁ कि जଣା पड़ला कि बाहर कोनोसी लोक आसुचंदी जोडा कि आमे कहउचे थ्रेट्स से माने आसुचंदी पेट्रोलिंग करिया पे आमे कोन दरकार पड़ुची ना एडवांस लाइट हेलिकॉप्टर वी डोंट रिक्वायर ए हेवी हेलिकॉप्टर राइट बिकॉज़ हमको समुद्र भितर काहा को उठेबार नहीं राइट लाइक चिनुक वगैरह से दरकार पड़बो वी वांट सम लाइट हेलिकॉप्टर व्हिच विल डू फॉर am I audible? Yeah, it will get break. Okay. So I was saying this Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, right? These helicopters consist modern surveillance radar and electro-optical sensors, more covert, more covert operations than the radars. Basically, they are the either the completely passive or emit much narrower beam than the radars. They are more precise than the radars. Basically, there are few radar technologies are being present. So in radar also, right, if you try to understand from space technology perspective, we used to have that active and passive radar. So generally the active radars we used to put it where in the aircraft itself, right? Spacecraft जोड़ा कि सेमाने transmit करिवे and सेमाने receive भी करिवे. So similarly certain radar features also we also try to put in this ALH, right, which will try to send signal and it will receive the signal. Apart from their primary roles of integral maritime reconnaissance, means they will behave as a spy and search and rescue operations, they can also be deployed for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operation as well as special operation with marine commandos. These helicopters also have an airborne medical intensive care unit for use in the air ambulance role for facilitate the medical evacuations of critically ill patients. तो critically ill patient जो तमे देखुथो ना कि तमे एम्बुलेंस रे नेकी जाओ जोथि बेंकी तांको दरकार फॉर एग्जांपल ऑक्सीजन वगैरह दरकार सो हठात जना पड़ला कि जनको एयरलिफ्ट करियार अछि राइट एयरलिफ्ट करिकि ताको संग संग मेडिकल रे नेकी रखियार अछि तो ई जो अछि हमर एएलएच राइट एमके3 सेतिर ऑलरेडी गोटे स्पेशल इंटेंसिव मेडिकल केयर यूनिट मेडिकल इंटेंसिव केयर यूनिट अछि जो कि गोटे आराम से गोटे लोक जदि ताको एयरलिफ्ट करा हला गोटे मेडिकल को ट्रांसपोर्ट करिया पे आराम से आसी परियो तार कोनोसी प्रकार असुविधा होबनी. So then the light combat helicopter, this is related to advanced light helicopter. Now the next one is light combat helicopter LCS, that is called Prachanda. Okay, so it is an Indian multi-role light attack helicopter. This is not only like a transportation, it can even attack. That's why the name itself is called Prachanda, right? Designed and manufactured by HAL under the project LCS Light Combat, because you are going to combat, right? It is customized as per the requirement of Indian Armed Force to operate both in desert terrains as well as high altitude sector. So if you see LCS, it is a deadly adversary. The HAL's LCS powered by two Shakti engines. It has maximum takeoff weight of 5,800 kgs and it can have a maximum speed of 268 km per hour and has a range of 550 km. ऊपर से उड़ी परिबो 550 किलोमीटर पाखापाखि तार ट्रैवल से करि परिबो. The helicopter is effective even in temperature ranging from -50 degrees Celsius to on snow peaks to 50 degrees Celsius on desert. So the helicopter is equipped with a advanced weapon system including a chin mounted twin barrel M621 2mm cannon on a Nexter THL-20 Torrent, 70mm rockets, MBDA air to air, then basically defense missile, right? Air to surface and anti-radiation missiles, Helena anti-tank guided missiles. So प्रचंड रे जदि तमे देखिबो एगुडा सब जो जिंस ओडा अछि ना ये जो जिंस ओडा रखिछि like it can try to combat, it has missiles, it has like गुली मारिया पई से जो cannons वगैरह भी अछि जोथिरे तोपो भलिया से माने मिसाइल ओडा को छाड़ीबे राइट एंड गुली मारला भलिया ताकरे शक्ति अछि এই ସବୁ ଜିନିଷକୁ ନେଇକି ତାକୁ ଆମେ କଣ କହୁଛେ ପ୍ରଚଣ୍ଡ. କେତେ କିଲୋମିଟର ଟ୍ରାଭେଲ କରିପାରିବ ନା 550 କିଲୋମିଟର ଟ୍ରାଭେଲ କରିପାରିବ, ବଟ୍ ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ ଲାଇଟ୍, ଓକେ, ନଟ୍ ହେଭି. Then we have Rudram. Rudram is nothing but it will try to neutralize the radar. Radar could he neutralize okay, radar out dhara hi padiboni. So also known as new generation anti-radiation missiles. It is India's first indigenous anti-radiation missile, successfully flight tested from Sukhoi 30 Mk1 in October 2020. So this Rudram, it is not a helicopter, right? It is one anti-radiation missile. This is designed to detect, track, and neutralize the enemy's radar. See, what do we say? Anti-radiation missile. This radiation will be through radar. That means it will try to destroy the radar mechanism. Enemies radar को neutralize कर दो. Anti means it will kill, right? So communication assets and other radio frequency sources, which are generally part of their defense system. It is an air to surface missiles that can be launched from 500-meter to 15-kilometer height and hit the target in the range of more than 100 kilometers. Once it locks the target, it is capable of striking accurately even if the radiation sources switch off in between. कि जदि radiation बंद भी होगला जदि जना भी पड़ला कि लाइक आकु चाहे तमे एक तो जेहेतु तमे कहउछ एंटी रेडिएशन मिसाइल आकु तमे धरि परिबोनी ओके इवन जदि कम्युनिकेशन चैनल लॉस हैला रेडिएशंस लॉस हैला माने जो इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक रेडिएशन आसी पहुंचिया कथा तार कम्युनिकेशन भी जदि हेई भी पारुनी ताहाले भी तार कोनोसी प्रॉब्लम नाही से जाकी टारगेट रे हिट करि नबो दिस इज रिलेटेड टू रुद्रम 1 then there is something called anti satellite missile called asat so this rudram we tested through what sukhoi Su-30 Mk1. Asat is related to anti-satellite missile. Again, we are talking about missile. See, helicopter, we talked about Chinook. We talked about light combat helicopter. We talked about advanced light helicopter, ALH, right? And we talked about something related to Chinook Purburu. What is the What is the name? Chinook Purburu. Apache. Okay. Next, Asat. It is the code name of Mission Shakti. It is a technology mission carried out by DRDO with ISRO. Basically, it is anti-satellite missile. That's what I am saying. It is trying to kill a satellite. ମୁଁ କହୁଥିଲି ନା ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ ମିସାଇଲ ର ରେଞ୍ଜ ହଉଛି 5000 କିଲୋମିଟର 5000 କିଲୋମିଟର ଭାଇ ଆମର ତ पोलर सिंक्रोनस या फिर लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट ସେଇଥିରେ ହିଁ ଯୋଉ सैटेलाइट ଗୁଡା ବସୁଛି ତାକୁ ତ ଆରାମ ସେ ମାନେ ହିଟ୍ କରିକି ଟାର୍ଗେଟ କରିକି ମାରି ଦେଇ ପାରିବେ ହଁ କି ନାହିଁ so this asat it is nothing but anti satellite missile means it will try to hit or try to kill one satellite okay and this started testing ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ କଥା ତମେ ଟେଷ୍ଟ କରିବ କେମିତି that means ତମେ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ତମେ ଆଗ ଗୋଟେ सैटेलाइट को ପଠେଇବାକୁ ପଡିବ ना ମୁଁ କହିବି କି ନାହିଁ ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ପାକିସ୍ତାନର सैटेलाइट को हिट କରିକି ଉଡେଇ ଦେବି या फिर ମୁଁ ରଷିଆର ଗୋଟେ सैटेलाइट को ଉଡେଇ ଦେବି ମୁଁ ସେମିତି ଟେଷ୍ଟ କରିପାରିବି କି କରିପାରିବିନି obviously ମୋ ଉପରେ ସାଂକ୍ସନ ଲାଗିଯିବ ସେମାନେ ମୋତେ କେତେ କଥା କହିବେ ରାଇଟ୍ ତାଠୁ ଭଲ ମତେ ଯଦି ଟେଷ୍ଟ କରିବାର ଅଛି ମୋର ମୁଁ ନିଜେ ହିଁ ଗୋଟେ सैटेलाइट ଛାଡିବି ଆଉ ସେ सैटेलाइट को ମୁଁ ଟାର୍ଗେଟ କରିକି ହଟେଇବି କିନ୍ତୁ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହଉଛି ସ୍ପେସ ରେ ଡେବ୍ରିଜ ପଡିବ ଟ୍ରୁ ଡେବ୍ରିଜ ତ ହେଇଯିବ ନା ତାକୁ ତ ମୁଁ ନେଇକି ଆସି ପାରିବିନି ରାଇଟ୍ ଓକେ ସୋ it started test on 27th March 2019 ballistic missile targeted ISRO's live satellite not ki NASA ro live satellite microsat this microsat is related to तमे आकु destroy करबा को ही से सैटेलाइट को तमे पठेछ एमिति न कि तार कोनोसी काम अछि सेठी ताकु तमे लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट व्हिच इज अराउंड जस्ट 300 किलोमीटर ताकु सेठी पठेछ इट इज used kinetic kill technology kinetic kill माने ए जो मिशन शक्ति जो असत जो मिसाइल तमे पठौछ सेथिरे कोनोसी एक्सप्लोजन तमको दरकार ही नहीं तमे ताकु सेमिति रे ही छाडी दियो से स्पीड रे से स्पीड रे सैटेलाइट को हिट करिवो सेठी ही सैटेलाइट डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाओ we don't require any extra explosive material is that clear okay India became the fourth country to do so after USA Russia and China it successfully demonstrated India's capability to interdict and interpret a satellite in outer space based on the complete indigenous technology first the satellite तमे देखिलो and से satellite को जदि तमको हटेबार अछि then through this asat anti satellite missile you can try to launch the missile and it can try to kill the satellite issue space debris space weaponization space रे तमे weaponization करूछो कि space रे तमे वर्तमान जाउछो सेठी तमे मारामारी करछो आ सैटेलाइट को आज नष्ट करिवो सी तम सैटेलाइट को नष्ट करिवो it is related to space weaponizations need for such a test is questioned by other countries obviously there will be questions India's commitment to outer space treaty 1967 that prohibits country from placing into orbit around the earth any objects carrying nuclear weapons or any other kind of weapons of mass destruction कि जदि तमे एनी ऑर्बिट लाइक लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट हो मीडियम ऑर्बिट हो या फिर जियोसिंक्रोनस ऑर्बिट हो को भी ऑर्बिट रे जदी तमे ट्राई करूछ कि सेठी आमे न्यूक्लियर वेपन नै कि सेठी ताकू बुलेबू देन इट इज गोइंग टू बी लाइक ह्यूज impact, right? जो कि you never know कि सेठू जेतिक रेडिएशन आसीबो because we try to understand that gravitational wave, right? And भाबो सेठी तमे गोटे blast करिवो तो obviously the gravitational wave will have an impact होंगी नहीं. See, just simply think, no, like पोखरी अछि पोखरी रे नॉर्मल गोटे let's suppose this is a fish which is going on बर्तन से तार ता रास्ता रे से तार जाउची हठात किना तमे गोटे पत्थर पके देला तो ए फिश ऊपर इफेक्ट पड़िबो ना नहीं पत्थरटा ता देहरे बाजिबोनी किंतु एथरु जो वेव चलिबो से वेव रे फिश भी चहलिबो ना से जो नॉर्मल जेमिति जीवा कथा सेमिति रे जाई परिबोनी. So if you will try to do something in space, obviously because of that gravitational waves, right? Because of that obviously there will be impact and we never know like जो माने तांको निजो निजो orbit रे बोलछन जदी से orbit change हला and somehow they will try to get pulled towards the earth then आसीजिबे से comets asteroids से गुडा तमक आसीबे then तमे ट्राई करियो पुनी asteroid को kill करिया पे आ गुडा पुनी छाडियो तमे space को again space रे debris बढ़िबे. Okay, so these are the issues that we'll see in the future. Russia's new anti-satellite missile test. In November 2021, Russia launched a missile that destroyed its own satellite called Cosmos 1408, a large spacecraft that orbited the Earth roughly 480 kilometers away. The breakup of satellite created at least 1500 pieces of trackable fragments, and according to the USA State Department, as well as thousands of smaller pieces that cannot be tracked. That means रशिया जो लॉन्च कला एंटी सैटेलाइट मिसाइल टेस्ट से से कला निजर जो कॉस्मोस 1408 थिला सेटा को से टारगेट को हिट कला एंड जेहेतु सेटा को हिट कला एंड एटा सुना जाय कि ई कॉस्मोस ऊपर कोनोसी आईडिया भी नथिला मींस केही जानि भी नथिले कि रशिया रो गोटे एमिति गोटे सैटेलाइट अछि जहा ना होची कॉस्मोस जोटा कि अर्थ चारि पटे बुलुची एंड ताकू रशिया हिट करिछि मींस यार लॉन्च विषय रे कहा को माने इट इज समथिंग लाइक घोस्ट मिसाइल ताकू आ जाय या विषय कि जानि नथिले एंड जेहेतु जानि नथिले तन समस्त भाबुछन कि ताले रशिया एमिति आहुरी केते मिसाइल रखिथिबो जोड़ा सॉरी नॉट मिसाइल बेसिकली सैटेलाइट जोड़ा अलग कहा को जणा ही नहीं ता लॉन्च विषय रे. So the breakup of the satellite created 1500 species like pieces, right? तो से माने वर्तन गुली भलिया बुलुथिबे कोठी ना आउटर ऑर्बिट नॉट आउटर ऑर्बिट बेसिकली से जो मिड low earth orbit, right? 480 kilometer low earth orbit. So and there are might be many small pieces which we are not able to track, right? So USA government, they are not able to track those things. So all of those pieces are in low earth orbit moving at thousands of miles and an hour and posing a threat to any object that might cross their path. Initially, that even included the International Space Station, with crew members on board forced to take shelter in their spacecraft as the debris cloud from the satellite passed by the ISS a couple of times. Ki ISS, International Space Center, we already talked about, that is also rotating, it is not like stationary. तो सेथिरे कोन होय ना सेथिरे जो एस्ट्रोनॉट थांदी से माने सेठी की जांदी एंड सेठु से माने ट्राई करंती विभिन्न विभिन्न एक्सपेरिमेंट कंडक्ट करिया पई देन अर्थ एटमॉस्फेयर विषय रे जानिया पई कि कोन होची कोन नाही, राइट? एंड सेटा अछि लो अर्थ ऑर्बिट रेडियस. सो एटा एमिति इंपैक्ट पकेला कि सेमानंकु से भीतर रहिया पड़ला बिकॉज़ सेमानंकु भी लागिला कि भाई जदी बाजिला बिकॉज़ गुली बळिया स्पीड रे सेने जाउथबे. सो इंटरनेशनल नॉर्म्स आर अर्जेंटली नीडेड टू प्रिवेंट फ्यूचर टेस्ट्स लाइक दिस एंड टू कीप अर्थ ऑर्बिट as safe as possible. A Russian satellite Cosmos 2499 this broke apart in the month of January, depositing space debris in Earth orbit, according to USA Space Force 18 Space Defense Squadron, which tracks all man-made objects in Earth orbit. It is believed that the second breakup of the satellite, and it could be the breakup of already broken parts. कि आगुरु जो ब्रोकन पार्ट थिला से ब्रोकन पार्ट लागी आउ थरे ए सैटेलाइट टा भांगीची जोथपे कि याहुरी बनेची कोन ना different parts. So the mysteries associated with the satellite. Okay, so this is the satellite. Sorry, I was in wrong statement. This Cosmos 2499 was not in the launch manifest according to the Russian spaceweb.com. So russianwebspace.com re this Cosmos 2499 was not listed. That's why it is called as ghost satellite. It created suspicions that it was a platform to test the technology and that would allow spacecraft to attack and disable सैटेलाइट आल्सो बिकॉज जदि तमर लॉन्च रे तमे कोठी देखो ही ना कि मु गोटे सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करी तो एमिति तमे केते सैटेलाइट लॉन्च करथिबो एंड से जाय कि जो सैटेलाइट गोडा अछि ताकू तमे कमांड दे कि अलगा सैटेलाइट को जदि तमे मारी भी दबो देन किसी जणा भी पड़ नथिबो हमको सो दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल्ड Cosmos 2499 which is considered to be a ghost satellite. Now we are going to complete in another 3 slides. Let's complete reforms in defense sector in India for self reliance कि हमको निजो को लाइक मेक इन इंडिया राइट डिजिटल इंडिया से सब जो जिंस को निजे इंडिजिनियस हमें जो करूचे तो हमें डिफेंस सेक्टर रे कोन रिफॉर्म आछे सी दीज आर रिलेटेड टू मेंस टॉपिक ओके सो डिफेंस प्रोक्योरमेंट प्रोसीजर 2016 तो हमें कोन कले डिफेंस प्रोक्योरमेंट जो डिफेंस रे जो डिफरेंट डिफरेंट प्रोक्योरमेंट करूतले बहुत बहुत केते केते बिलियन डॉलर हमें खर्च करूतले सेटा कोन कले ना डिफेंस प्रोक्योरमेंट इंट्रोड्यूस्ड मेनी सिग्निफिकेंट पॉलिसी चेंज pertaining to India's defense acquisitions. The most significant reform measure of being in strategic partnership. So this model has 4 segments. One is related to submarine, single engine fighter aircraft, helicopters and armored carriers, main battle tanks basically, which would be specifically opened up for the private sector. कि सेई जो आमे कहले सबमरीन तयारी करियार अछि सिंगल इंजन फाइटर जेट तयारी करियार अछि सेतिर आमे धीरे धीरे कोन करछे प्राइवेट प्लेयर मानको इंक्लूड करछे प्राइवेट सेक्टर मानको इंक्लूड करछे ताकि से माने भी आसी कि पैसा खर्च करबे जोथि पे कि आमे से सेक्शन टाको बूस्ट कर परबा दिस इज मोरली रिलेटेड टू टुवर्ड्स इकोनॉमी ओके as part of this one Indian private company would be selected in each segment which would tie up with shortlisted global equipment manufacturer to manufacture the equipment in India under technology transfer. So through technological transfer what we are trying to do is we will select a private sector which will try to have a link with a global manufacturer जहाँ सहित मैन्युफैक्चर करके सी तार टेक्नोलॉजी केमिति से माने मैन्युफैक्चर करछन्ती सेटा इंडिया रो प्राइवेट सेक्टर को कहबे एंड इंडिया रे ही से प्राइवेट सेक्टर जो कंपनी आसी से निजे डेवलप करिया स्टार्ट करता मींस प्रोडक्शन से ही स्टार्ट करियो सो इनोवेशन फॉर डिफेंस एक्सीलेंस दैट इज आईडेक्स वाज लॉन्च्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट इन 2018 मॉडर्नाइज द डिफेंस industry. IDEX also aims at creation of the ecosystem to foster innovation and technology development and defense and aerospace by engaging industries including MSMEs, startups, individual innovators, research and developments, and academia. The Defense Acquisition Program or Procedure DAP 2020 has increased the indigenous content. This is very important. Requirement in all categories of defense procurement because these are related to that balance of payment. Okay, if in economy, if you will try to understand the balance of payment thing, what we are doing import, export, what will be the balance of payment, current account, capital account. This is related to that. So increase in indigenous availability of high-end military materials. The use of indigenous software in equipment system and boost to innovation by startup and micro small medium enterprises. In September 2020 increase the foreign direct investment because we want foreigners to invest such that this sector will boost एमिति नुआ कि इंडिया रो गवर्नमेंट ही ट्राई करबे सेक्टर को बूस्ट करिया गले बहुत सारा गवर्नमेंट को पैसा खर्च करिया पड़ो देन अलगा स्कीम गोडा से केमथि चलेबो जोथ पे कि आगुरु जदी तमे देखिबो फॉर एग्जांपल डिफेंस सेक्टर रे हाउ मच इट वाज ना इट वाज 49% then they made it like it can go up to 74% under automatic route like they don't require any permission from the government again this is what I covered for economics right pillar 3 FDI direct route like automatic route and government approval so they don't require see earlier it was automatic route up to 49% they can invest in which sector in a defense sector but now the government made it like more than 49% earlier if more than 49% they have to invest they have to take permission from the government they cannot do directly but now they can directly go till 74% but more than 74% they require government permissions. In September 2021, new rules are announced to enhance the delegation of revenue procurement powers for the Army, Navy, and Air Force. Under the new rules, critical equipment like air-to-air refuelers for the Air Force can be hired for short periods as compared to buying them for a long-term lease. For example, आमको बेसी टाइम दरकार ही नहीं तो जदि सबु बेले तुमको एयर टू एयर रिफ्यूलर दरकार नहीं एयर टू एयर रिफ्यूल केतल दरकार हो हठात जना पड़ला कि तुम गोटे मिशन रे जाइछो एंड तुम तमर रेंज अछि 3000 किलोमीटर ट्रैवल करिया बट जाना पड़ला कि 3000 किलोमीटर ट्रैवल करिया पूर्वरु लाइक 2005 किलोमीटर ट्रैवल करि सारलणी एंड स्टिल मिशन को कंटिन्यू करियार अछि देन तमे जदी बेस को पळे आसबो देन मे बी पारे मिशन कंटिन्यू न करि पारो से टाइम रे तुमको गोटे एयर रिफ्यूलर दरकार हो देन तम पाखरे जदी गोटे आनी कि रखिथियो तार काम केतळे सेतिकी बेले ही पडियो जतळे गोटे क्रिटिकल मिशन थियो अदरवाइज नॉर्मल मिशन रे एयर रिफ्यूलर तो काम ही नहीं ସେଥିପାଇଁ ସେମାନେ କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ତାହେଲେ କିଣିକି ଲାଭ କଣ, ତାଠୁ ଭଲ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦରକାର ପଡିବ ତମେ ରେଣ୍ଟରେ ନେଇ ଆସିବ, that can be higher for short period. Clear? So in 2020, the government announced a ban on 101 defense items, and the list shall be progressively reviewed and expanded every year by the newly created Department of Military Affairs. India's new list, 117 defense item published in 24 March 2022, that will attract a phased import ban between December 2022 to December 2028, with the indigenization drive covering warship, helicopter, tanks, infantry combat vehicles, missiles, ammunition and radars. तो इंडिया को कहुची से सब जिनस इंडिजिनियसली डेवलप करिवो ताकि हमको अधिक रु अधिक खर्च करिया नै बाहर को इबिन दरकार पड़ले आमे ऑलरेडी देखले ना थ्रू आईडेक्स एंड थ्रू द प्राइवेटाइजेशंस. तो आमे ट्राई करजे प्राइवेट सेक्टर, नॉट एक्चुअली प्राइवेटाइजेशन, वी आर ट्राइंग टू ब्रिंग द प्राइवेट प्लेयर and trying to link them with the global manufacturer जो थ्रे की टेक्नोलॉजिकल ट्रांसफर हे परिवो and manufacture India रे हवा स्टार्ट हो. Is that clear? So the last portions were mostly related to the mains content related to defense technology, how India is trying to do and where they can do, what is the scope, right? And how the FDIs they can come and they can picturize, like they can boost Indian space, sorry, not space, defense sector. So that is related to the last 4 5 slides. But previously to that, in defense sector, we try to cover the missiles, right? Then we try to cover the submarine, air fighter jets, we cover helicopters, drones. Okay, so basically all these things we covered, and anything that is in news, so that will be we need to supplement. Either you can take a vision as material or any material also magazine like defense technology if you will try to hear something, right? So just try to supplement that. Hope that is clear, right? Okay. Thank you everyone. Good night.